Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Natalia Leigh. I'm an indie author and the managing editor at Enchanted Ink Publishing, and today we are going to be going over some of the goals I have for 2024. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. All right, 2023 has somehow come and almost gone. Today is Friday the 29th, so there are only a couple more days left in this year, and I thought it would be fun to look back over my goals from 2023. I have those here, kind of reflect on those goals and if I feel I achieved them. And then my new planner hasn't gotten here yet, so I'm using an old one for now. I have my goals for the new year written down in this planner, and this time around we're just going to be focusing on writing and publishing, and I'm so excited that I actually have writing and publishing goals for 2024, because if you have been here a while, you probably know that I took like a 4-year hiatus from writing and publishing. I didn't mean to, but I got so involved in Enchanted Ink and editing work and running the business that I really didn't feel that I had any energy left for writing, and I have somehow cultivated that energy. I have found time for myself, and in 2024 I hope to put that energy to good use, but we will get there in a moment. So let's start off with these 2023 goals. All right, my first goal for 2023 was to feel better in mind and body, and my steps were going to be yoga, meditation, standing while working, taking walks, and mindfulness. I think I had times, like blocks throughout the year where I was doing a really good job. I had blocks where I was consistently practicing yoga, consistently exercising, going on walks, and somehow I have fallen off of that again. So I haven't done yoga in quite a while, though I am about to do the 30-day Yoga with Adriene challenge. I do that every year and I love it, so I will hopefully get a good start in the new year. In terms of being healthier in mind, I think I have generally improved in terms of overall stress and in just handling difficult situations, handling the business. I think that I am doing a better job at that. I am being more positive. I am trying to be a little bit more resilient and just not letting things affect me as strongly as they have in the past. So I think I have made improvements there, but I could further improve in the next year. I think I did an okay job at being healthier in mind and body this year, but I am not sure I would give myself a full like check mark on that, because I could certainly improve in the new year. Work-life balance was my second goal. I said I wanted to aim for 6-hour work days, take weekends off, schedule vacation, and not overbook myself, and I absolutely achieved this. I definitely am working shorter work days now, and in doing that I have to be more focused. I have to schedule my days very carefully to make sure that I am getting all of my work done generally in like a 6-hour period. Now, there are always days where I have to work longer. You know, if I'm coming up on a deadline and for some reason I have fallen behind, then I have to push to get that project done. So there are times where I need to do longer work days, or I need to work on a Saturday to make sure that I'm getting my projects done. But in general, this has been, this year was a huge jump forward in terms of work-life balance. I'm not overbooking myself anymore. I have really learned how to schedule projects according to how long they're going to take me. I've been editing full-time for like 4 years now, I think. Just over 4 years I've been editing full-time. So I have definitely learned project to project, especially because I have many return clients. I generally know how long it's going to take me, and I can build my schedule accordingly. So I'm not overbooking myself. I'm taking my weekends off. I even get to take extra days off. Like I took Christmas off, I'm taking New Year's Day off, and that has been really wonderful. So I'd say I definitely achieved a better work-life balance this year. And my third goal was to learn more about and get better at gardening. And my steps were to build a garden fence, continue composting, try new seeds, and start a garden journal. So I have not posted on my second channel in quite a while because I have just been focusing my energy here. But I do have a second channel. It's called Little Mountain Homestead. I always have it linked down below, and over on that channel I have horse content, veganism content, gardening, life in the mountains, a little bit of like homesteady type content. So I have posted a bit more about the garden over there, but I would definitely say that I learned more about gardening this year. I did build a garden fence. My husband helped me. We have a big, beautiful garden outside now. We have 2 big boxes, and we're gonna build 5 more before spring arrives. So there was a huge leap forward in terms of setting up an actual space. The prairie dogs are still getting in there. They are very clever little creatures, and they can get through almost anything, I have learned. But once we get all of those tall beds built, the prairie dogs shouldn't even be a problem anymore, even if they do get into the garden. So I definitely moved forward in terms of that. I have been composting, and my compost pile is doing way better than last year. I learned again how to balance the carbon and the nitrogen. I am doing a much better job of that, and the compost is coming along nicely. I did try new seeds this year. Some of them worked and some of them were total failures, but I did not start a garden journal. However, I did just recently, this past weekend, I designed a garden journal for myself, and I'm going to get it printed through Lulu because they have spiral binding. So I'm gonna be putting in an order through Lulu here soon for that garden journal. If you are interested in gardening and you would like to pick up the garden journal as well, let me know and I can pop it up. I can actually like publish through Lulu so that anybody who orders it can get the nice spiral binding as well. But I definitely did achieve this goal of learning more. I had a lot of struggles in the garden this year. I had some failures. I made some big mistakes that really cost me in the long run. But through all those mistakes, I learned a lot, and I won't be making those mistakes this coming year. So I would say that yes, I did achieve the goal of learning more about gardening and getting better at it, even though I was getting better at it through my mistakes. And you may notice I had no writing and publishing goals for 2023 because writing and publishing was barely even on my mind, because I was still very much functioning from a belief of I can't do it while editing for clients full time. However, I have somehow discovered that yes, I can. I just have to be very intentional in my scheduling. I have to be very intentional in my energy levels, in how many hours I'm spending on a screen every day, because this past year I did start having some eye fatigue problems and just general like eye problems across the board. So I have to be a lot more intentional with that. All of that being said, we are now going to dive into my 2024 goals, and I, for this video at least, am going to keep these all writing and publishing related. Once my new 2024 planner that I designed comes in, I will be doing some more in-depth goal setting in terms of like personal life goals, financial goals, goals for my husband and I as a family, stuff like that. But for today, let's just talk about writing and publishing, because that is what most of you, I think, are interested in. So let's get started. Before we dive into that, I want to get you caught up on where I actually am in terms of my writing and publishing. I haven't caught up with you since late November, when I finished the second draft of book 2 of my paranormal romance trilogy. And I have been working on it diligently since then. I have just had so much on my plate that filming has just not been a priority. So just recently, this past week actually, I finished the third draft of book 2, and I am very happy where it's sitting. I went through that huge kind of rewrite in November for draft 2, and it made the book so much stronger. I am really glad that I not only realized that there was a problem, but that I committed myself to fixing that problem. So I got through that whole second draft. I have gotten through the third draft. I am now in the formatting phase. I started formatting it yesterday. Greg would typically do that for me, but he is slammed with some honestly some really awesome projects right now that I hope we will be able to talk about very soon, because we have some very, very cool clients that we're working with. But he has just been working so hard and has so much on his plate that I am going to be formatting the manuscript. So he got me all set up and I started that last night. So I plan to have the formatting of that book done probably this week. Then I'll go into my proofreading pass, and from there things just really start rolling. So that is where I am sitting currently, so that you know where I'm at with my projects, and now it'll make more sense to dive into the goals. So my first goal for 2024 is to publish book 2. We're just going to be referring to it as book 2. I currently have an estimated publication date of early March. However, if things keep going as smoothly as they have been going recently, I think I could probably bump that publication date up to like mid to late February, depending on how long it takes me to proofread and just little stuff like that. I do have a calendar and like a schedule that I work off of, and I might show you that in a separate video. But my first goal is to publish book 2 in my paranormal romance trilogy, and that will definitely be happening in either February or March of 2024. My second goal, a couple of these are like dual goals, they go together. So my second goal is to write and publish book 3 in this trilogy. I have almost a completed outline. I talked about that in a previous video. I have a couple more chapters or like beats that need to be outlined, and then Sasha's in here now, so you might hear her meowing. She's very, very talkative recently. So I do have that outline almost done, almost ready to go, but I do want to return to it while I'm doing the proofread on book 2. So I'll be doing a dual proofread and working on book 3's outline and making sure that it's really solid. I have learned so much about outlining, like honestly in the last 3 months, it is insane. I have outlined 3 Pistol Daisy books, which we will talk about too. I've outlined 3 Pistol Daisy books, 2 books in the paranormal romance trilogy, and also another one that we're going to be talking about. So just here in the past few months, I have outlined 6 books, and I finally feel like I am getting a grasp on it. I have struggled with outlining and story structure for a very long time, and now that I have been doing it so much, I think I'm figuring it out, and it feels amazing to say that because it's always been my like my weak point. So I want to write that book. I want to write book 3, and I'm going to be starting that in January after the proofread on book 2 is done, and then I want to publish that book. And right now I'm planning, based on just my work schedule and everything that I have planned for the year, that book, book 3, which will complete the trilogy, will probably be coming out in late July. So that's kind of a tentative schedule for that one. And again, at this point, I have an outline almost done, but I haven't even started on a rough draft of that. And the third goal, it's going to be another dual goal, is to write and publish a new book. We can call it, what are we going to call it? Project Magician. Let's call it Project Magician because there's going to be a magician in it. Or maybe I'll just call it Magician for short. So I want to write and publish this new book. It's going to be a standalone. It is going to be a dark, sexy retelling of one of my favorite stories. I'm not going to share that just yet, but I am honestly so excited for this standalone book. I outlined it maybe like 3 weekends ago. I watched a movie. I was having like a hard day, and I poured myself a glass of wine and I sat down with an old movie that I have loved for a really long time. And it was the first time that I was watching it through adult eyes. The last time I watched it, I was probably like a teenager, and I watched it and I thought, I want to rewrite this story. I want to retell this story in my way and, you know, put my own twist on it. And I am so excited about it. I got like addicted to this outline for probably a week or 2, and I outlined the whole thing. It's going to be a standalone. It is going to be primarily one point of view, but there will be a few chapters from some other characters' points of view, and that's something that I've never done before, I don't think. So that will definitely be a bit new and different for me, something fun to kind of play around with and try out. But here's the thing, I want to write this book so bad. I even sat down with Greg last night and we kind of talked about my publishing schedule for 2024. And, you know, after discussing it with him and talking about, you know, just kind of the business side of writing and publishing, we're thinking that I really need to focus on finishing my trilogy first. So that is what I am going to do. But I am going to write this book, Project Magician, in March. So my hope here is that in January and February, I will write the first draft of book 3 in my trilogy. I will put that aside, and in March, I will write draft 1 of Project Magician. And hopefully, if all goes well, by April, I will be sitting on 2 first drafts for 2 separate projects. And I will either, depending on how much time I feel I need for book 3 between revisions, I will either be working straight through on book 3 and likely publishing earlier than July, or if I feel that I need to be taking breaks to kind of let the story percolate, then those in between times I will be working on Project Magician. And that book, Magician, I plan to publish in probably late October or early November. And the reason that I'm able to say here's when I think I'm going to be publishing is because I have so carefully and tediously blocked out all the times on my calendar so that I know when I'm going to be writing, when I'm going to be editing, formatting, proofreading, doing marketing, etc. I have it all planned out. Granted, I'm okay with it moving. I'm totally fine with that. I'm going to try to be not as rigid next year. It's something that has really developed in my personality over the past couple years. I have become rather kind of a control freak, honestly, about the business and work and my scheduling and stuff. So I'm going to try to loosen my grip on things in 2024 and go with the flow a little bit more. So if I need to push any of these projects back, I'm just gonna try to accept it with grace and push things back as needed. Now, that puts us at like the end of 2024. So let's assume everything goes according to plan. I will have published at that point 3 books by end of October, which leaves November and December. So a NaNoWriMo month, which I am going to participate in. I have already time blocked in my work schedule so that I will be able to participate in NaNoWriMo in 24. So that leaves Nano, and then it leaves December. And I'm excited to say that right now my tentative plan is to write, hopefully, Whiskey City over November and December. In my last video, I had mentioned that I was really feeling the desire to return to Daisy, and that has not gone away. In fact, after filming that video, I spent the next 2 weekends essentially outlining the next 3 books, and those will make up the quartet. So I have outlined Whiskey City, the next one. I have titles and covers for all of them, but I'm not gonna reveal the titles yet. But I have outlined them, and I feel so much better about the outlines that I have done. Again, that was part of like this insane amount of outlining that I've been doing these last few months, and I feel like I am figuring it out. All of that to say, I hope to write Whiskey City in November/December, and if that book goes well, I have written and rewritten Whiskey City multiple times, so I kind of have a chip on my shoulder for that book, and I'm intimidated by it. But if it does go well, and if I am able to write it in late 2024, then I would hopefully be looking at publication of Whiskey City in early to mid 2025. But I am not going to plan into 2025 yet. So that is kind of my tentative setup, my goals for 2024. As a wrap up, this would be 3 publications in 2024. So books 2 and 3 of my trilogy, and then Project Magician. I would finish a trilogy for the very first time. I have wanted to write a series for a long time, pretty much for as long as I've been publishing. I have wanted to write a series, and I just haven't been able to achieve it yet. But I am this close to publishing book 2 in the trilogy, and as soon as book 3 is done and out there, I will be able to say I have a full completed series published. And that will be a huge accomplishment for me since I have spent so many years trying to get to this point. And then writing 3 books in 2024. So book 2 of my trilogy is already written, so I will hopefully be writing book 3, Project Magician, and a totally new draft of Whiskey City. These are big goals for me, especially coming off of pretty much 4 years of not writing anything. My last publication was Pistol Daisy in 2020. Pistol Daisy was published in June of 2020. So I went years with not writing, years with not publishing. Writing and publishing was barely on my radar. I wasn't really setting goals, and when I did set goals, I usually didn't attain them. And suddenly I have found myself in this space where, especially because I achieved that goal of work-life balance, I have made space and time and energy for myself to play with my own creativity. And I am finding that the more I am cultivating that creativity and that creative energy, and the more I am going into that space, the easier it's becoming. When I was writing book 1 of my trilogy, I wrote a big chunk of it, or I don't know, like an 18,000 word chunk of it, and then I took almost a year off. I took a huge chunk of time off because work got insane and I just couldn't balance it and juggle it. And then I finished it the following year. Once I started and got back into that in early 2023, I've just kind of been chugging along since. So, you know, this year I finished book 1, I published book 1, I wrote book 2, I am almost ready to publish book 2, and that is something I am so proud of. I have come a long way this year in terms of getting back on the writing wagon and trying to pick that back up again. I was afraid for a long time that writing was just gone for me, and that as long as I was editing, that I would not be able to write my own stuff. That was a big fear that I had for years, and I'm very happy to say that now that I have achieved that work-life balance, I have made that space for myself, that creative space. So all good things. I really appreciate you being here watching this video, being on my channel this year. In the new year, I do hope to, you know, kind of take you along on the journey with me. I want to document my writing and publishing, even if I'm not, you know, holding up the book and saying, this is the title of the book and this is what I'm working on. I know that it's frustrating to some people, but it's really the best thing for me at this time and the best thing for my new author business that I am cultivating off to the side. And if you haven't watched my video on why I chose to write my new books under a pen name, I will link that down below. I talk about all of it there. But it has been a good choice for me, a healthy choice, and I am really glad that I made that decision. So even though I won't like be holding up the books and talking about them, I still want to take you kind of behind the scenes and have you there as I work through the process. And I do hope to do that in 2024. I hope to bring you along with me. I already have a nice full year of editing clients scheduled for myself. So if you are interested in working with EIP, any of the EIP editors or our cover designer or formatter in 2024, please come check us out at enchantedinkpublishing.com. Our editing is really booking out far at this point. I may this year be looking into bringing another editor onto the team because we're booking out so far. But if you know you want to work with us, please come and fill out a service inquiry and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And yeah, if you're looking for formatting or cover design, we have a bit more availability and we are booking into early 2024 at this time for both of those services. So again, we would love to work with you. Come check out the website, enchantedinkpublishing.com. If you are somebody who, I've had a few people reach out about the planner and wanting to get the 2024 planner. It's done. KDP is giving me a horrible time trying to get this published. Most recently, they told me that I'm not allowed to use the word planner in my title for some reason. So I'm gonna have to email them back and explain to them that a planner needs to be called a planner on Amazon. But it will be out eventually. Once I get my copy and I make sure that everything looks good, I might end up publishing via Lulu again so that I can have that spiral binding, because I think that that's really nice for a planner. So that will be coming out eventually. I am so sorry that it will not be out by early 2024, but it'll be there eventually, and I will let you know once it is. That is everything I have to share with you today. I hope 2023 was a wonderful year for you. I hope 2024 is even better, and I will see you next year and in my next video. Bye.